I got it. Not to steal Allison's thunder, but I think we're up to speakers 50 through 59.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the Planning Committee. My name is Kathy Kane. I reside in the North River District. My husband and I recently moved to Blue Ridge Shadows to enjoy retirement in a peaceful community with views of the mountains and our backyards overlooking trees. We love it here. We were shocked and deeply disappointed to learn that our property directly backs up to an area where data centers may be potentially built. Literally, our backyard would be data centers if this is permitted. Before moving here, I lived in Loudoun County for 25 years. I've personally witnessed the dramatic growth of data centers, where Loudoun is now home to Data Center Alley, with over 250 data centers and 100 more in the pipeline. Loudoun was once a landscape of farmland and quiet residential communities, and now it is an endless sea of data centers. The data centers in Loudoun is one of the reasons we decided to move to Front Royal. We wanted a quieter, less developed community. We invested our retirement savings in a home here because we believed that Warren County would preserve its rural character. We are concerned about the decline in our property value and living in a peaceful, healthy environment. In 2024, as a resident of Loudoun County, I received a letter from Novec, the electric company that serviced my former home. The letter informed me that due to massive data center growth in Northern Virginia, my electric bill was going to have a major rate increase. This is contrary to what Rushmark has said here tonight, but I had electric bills to prove it. I also read the permit that was requested by Rushmark, and it said, quote, "They cannot provide a list of chemicals that could be used, housed, or generated on the premises, or provide a statement as to the standards of compliance relative to the emission and/or release of noise, dust, smoke, glare, light, heat, vibration, toxic gases, etc." So in other words, they have no idea what the environmental impact will be if there is a data center. Please ask yourselves, can you assure Warren County citizens that data centers will not be toxic or potentially cause harm to them, their families, and the environment? I ask you to please consider not recommending data centers in Warren County. Thank you.
My name is Sean Cuddeback. I'm in Shenandoah District. First, I'd like to thank every one of you for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. I also want to say that to those of you especially who have tuned in and really made an effort to listen, I notice it, I thank you, and I honor you. I have two quick things to say. First of all, a quote from Wendell Berry means very much to me. It might mean something to you. He says, "We borrow the land from future generations." We borrow the land from future generations. And I just want to say that's a nice maxim, but it has to be lived in the concrete. It has no meaning or implication if it doesn't come down to moments like this, where we really think the future generations. My other quick point is this. Some people are going to point out that this is already an industrial district, so already kind of ugly things are going to happen here. I grant there are some allowable uses right now that probably are not super in accord with the Wendell Berry way of thinking about it. And we as a community, we're going to have to deal with that. But this is going to add another use. And clearly, not all uses are created equal. Some are obviously more aggressive, offensive, problematic for our community. And it just seems, why then would we add this one? Let's work together as a community and come together to do the best we can to treat the land as something that we borrow from future generations. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Jane Elliott. I'm in the Shenandoah District. In Ashburn, Virginia, residents in upscale homes near the Vantage Data Center have taken to leaning their mattresses against their windows in order to dim out, to muffle the nonstop noise from the data centers. Can you imagine having to resort to that? Who is going to want to move into that neighborhood? Would you? Do you want the same effects here? What do you think that is going to do to our local economy? Just one more reason to keep the Warren County Code untouched, untampered with, unchanged. No amendments, no exceptions, no empty promises, no data centers here. No, 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 never. Thank you.
My name is Leslie Nice, and I'm from the Shenandoah District. I worked for AOL in the Ashburn campus. We had a small data center, about 10 people worked there. It was a wonderful place to work. There were 5,000 employees on that campus, 5,000 people who bought houses in Loudoun County. They grew Loudoun County, not the data center, the employees that were brought in to work the campus. After we left the campus, that was a really great campus. You could put anything in there. You could put a college in there. You could have put anything. Government contractors came in, and they utilized that building. You know what it is now? Data centers. What, maybe 300 people are being employed there? 5,000 down to 300. Second point, there was a bipartisan agreement. Bipartisan in Virginia, pretty amazing, right? The former governor struck it down, and it was for the oversight of data centers, specifically for the oversight and the regulations and everything, and it was bipartisan, and it was struck down by the former governor. He didn't count on one thing. He thought he was going to cherry pick. What he was doing was providing all of you people who don't have the money and the resources to do all the research into data centers across the country. Because right now, we the people have done the research. We know how bad it is, and we're handing you the information today to make a decision. The governor thought he put one over on you and put one over on us, but he didn't. He didn't bank on all of us coming together and telling you no, don't do it.
Celeste Horton, North River. Hello again, planning commissioners. I struggled to know what to say tonight after numerous speeches, and I knew that people would cover most of the bases. But after hearing Rushmark speak tonight, I knew I needed to circle back to one of my earlier speeches, so forgive my repetition. The Brickyard Data Center in Manassas, which came online last year, is already disputing its real estate tax assessment. The Digital Realty Data Center had initially ensured that they would generate $1.1 million in real estate taxes for the city. However, the data center does not pay computer and peripheral taxes, also known as data center taxes, because the computer servers it houses belong to a bank. And under state law, banks are exempt from paying certain business property taxes. 5 more data centers are under construction in Manassas, and yet residents just got hit with another hike in tax bills and utilities, averaging $66 more a month for electricity. So I'm curious, who is really benefiting here? Last year, the state of Virginia waived $1.9 billion in sales taxes for data centers, and as a result, $267 million of revenue that would have supported public K-12 education was lost. Fairfax missing out on $38 million that would have gone directly to schools. Loudoun now published that slowing data center revenue and rising costs are causing budget shortfalls. And if their public schools were to keep all staff for the next 4 years, the division would see a $5.1 million shortfall by 2030. This is a county with over 200 data centers in operation and yet is still falling short on revenue and on promises made to its citizens. Winston Churchill famously quotes that those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. It would be foolish to believe that the same promises that data centers once made to Loudoun and Manassas would have any different of an outcome here in Warren County. They're incredibly deceptive, and we see that deception on display. Promises of schools being funded, roads being repaired, taxes being lowered, and yet all we see are rising utility costs, worsening droughts, locals struggling to make ends meet, and school systems unable to pay teachers what they're worth. It would be foolish also to believe the narrative that restrictive ordinances would ever protect us or keep data centers at bay, as every single locality in Virginia that has added data centers to their code, even with restrictive ordinances, has ended up with them. Restrictive ordinances and conditional use permits are these companies' Trojan horse into our communities, and we should be very weary of anyone or any organization that pushes for them. I know the data centers have presented us with a silver platter full of money and promises to solve all of our problems and restrictions that would protect us. But the destruction of our neighboring communities teaches us a different lesson. Let us learn from our neighbors the fate of the promises broken to them, the deception they had fallen for, and let us stand firm against allowing data centers in Warren County. Protect Warren County and recommend denial of Rushmark's proposed amendment to add data centers to our code. Thank you.
Eva Chalice. I live in the Shenandoah district. I'm curious, what is our combined vision for Warren County? Did we mean to be known as where the mountains meet the river, where Skyline Drive begins, a place people want to visit, a place people want to live? We just celebrated 250 years of saying, listen to the will of the people. Please vote no.
You'll give me one moment. Can I have 60 through 69?
Andrea Sappenfield, Happy Creek District. I understand concerns have been raised that Warren County could face litigation if it declines to create a conditional use permit or approve data center development. However, before making such a significant decision, I hope the commission can clarify whether the necessary studies have been completed to determine if Warren County can safely support not only one data center, but potentially many. Has a study been conducted to determine whether Warren County water resources can support data centers long-term? Have electrical infrastructure and power demand impacts been evaluated? Has anyone studied the cumulative impacts of multiple data centers in Warren County and neighboring counties, including impacts, water, power, rural character, and quality of life? These studies have not been completed. Will the county consider conducting them before creating a pathway for data center development? I'm also concerned that discussion is focused primarily on the risk of being sued if data centers are not allowed. Has the county also considered the opposite risk? If data centers are permitted, could future operators seek additional water, power, substations, transmission lines, expansions, or ordinance changes? If these requests are denied, could the county face litigation at what point? Is Warren County more likely to face a one-time legal challenge for saying no, or repeated challenges as additional resources and allowances are requested over time? Finally, while neighboring counties may choose to allow data centers, that does not necessarily mean Warren County should. Have the cumulative regional impacts of multiple counties approving data centers been studied? And if so, can those studies be shared with the public? As Will Hollingworth states, we are being asked to drain our reservoirs so a chatbot can write a poem or a sheriff can generate a picture of himself standing next to Bigfoot. He also argued that a drop of clean water for a child is worth more than 1 billion AI-generated images.
what's in the best interest of Warren County residents, whose future we are fighting for. The people living here are the ones drinking the water, breathing the air, paying the taxes, and living with the consequences. These people in the best interests of the county are represented by you. Please keep in mind when making this incredibly huge decision. One more thing. If an ordinance is made, please do not let the data center write it.
Thank you.
Hi, my name's Kieran McGuire. I live in the South River District. My wife and I moved here about 4 years ago because my children have been living here since 1999, and we have 22 grandchildren in the area, either in Warren County or in the surrounding areas. I just want to say a few things. First of all, thank you. As John Cutterback said, thank you for your participation in this civic effort. I also want to thank the representative from Rushmark. It was a very professional presentation. But anyone who's ever made a professional presentation, as I've done many times, knows that you overestimate the benefits to those to whom you're speaking, and you underestimate the negative effects. So I can't say that his presentation had factual error, but I can say that it was, at the very least, a vast overestimation of any benefits. And so let's look at some of the benefits. Who benefits? The property owner benefits. Okay? There are many property owners here who have spoken, and I think there are many others who aren't here who would agree with what's been said largely tonight. And who else benefits? He talked about possible jobs. We all know that data centers don't really provide jobs except temporary construction jobs, many of which are filled by people who don't live in the community because they're skilled at this particular task and they're farmed in and they leave. So the local impact on employment will be minimal to the current people who live here. Let's look at some of the harms. A lot of the harms have been mentioned. Some people have done tremendous research into most of it. I'd like to just state two things. I was trained, educated, and worked as a petroleum geologist. And I know that groundwater is a very, very delicate thing. And not only is it a delicate thing, but it's a necessity for life. Anyone who doubts that, just go out to the water fountain out here outside the men's room and try to get a drink of water like I just did. There's no water. So that's a little just reminder of what we're talking about here. We're talking about the necessities of life, air, and then water. We don't know the long-term effects if this application is approved. If it's approved, it's a floodgate. We know that. It's not just Rushmark. And I encourage you very strongly to deny this application. And I'll leave you with an aphorism that has a lot of wisdom. If it's not fixed, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Thank you very much.
Jacinta Whiting, North River District. Thank you so much for your time tonight and for listening to all of us here today. I moved to Front Royal as a kid in 1989, and I currently reside north of town with my husband and our 8 beautiful children. Most of my 11 siblings live in the area, raising their families as well. And we love this area. Since I'm often at home, I don't often go to DC. I recently drove towards DC and I was completely devastated by what I saw. The concrete, the just total desolation of the landscape that is completely changed. And I have noticed so many deer running through my backyard. Even in town, the deer are all over the place. They are running away from the data centers. They are looking for things to eat. I've never had so much damage to my hostas, my roses. My garden is being eaten by these creatures that are just migrating west. And large flocks of birds have been flying through as well. The animals are leaving the area because they can't find any food. And not only the animals, but the people have an amazing impact, even more importantly. these data centers impact our own families as they dump their problems on us. And in just a few years, they will be obsolete and we will not know how to remove them properly. They are leeches in our community and they do not give anything back other than a few minuscule dollars. Over the past 20 years, many businesses have sprung up in our community, clearing out local farms, local homes. We don't want it getting any worse. Virginia already has the dubious distinction of being the data center capital of the world. We don't need to add any more data centers. As was so clearly spelled out at the previous town meeting and here, this is a Trojan horse. All it takes for evil to triumph is for good men, such as yourselves, to do nothing. In our age, we must be brave. This is an age where courage is required for survival. Today, you can make history by bucking the trend, by taking a bold stand. As earlier speakers have outlined, and as even Mr. Doty has admitted, you do have the power to regulate our local business in this area. You can say no. You have been given the authority and the power to say no, and we will remember how you acted tonight. We have so many reasons to be proud of our beautiful county. We must protect the life entrusted to our care. We must protect it. Thank you.
I'm Curtis Smith from North River District, and the man from Rushmark started off telling us that they bought the land for warehousing. The question that I have, and I heard the same thing from Slate Run Farms, when they changed their property from agricultural to industrial, we're close to the inland port, so we're anticipating warehousing, which is amazing because the inland port doesn't use warehousing. It all comes in on trains, gets loaded on the trucks, and away they go. So that's the first point of BS that you need to deal with. The secondly is cooling. The storage units in a data center require cooling, and he mentioned glycol, which is the same that's in your car radiator, but your car runs at about 200 degrees water temperature. You cannot store data at 200 degrees. When I was on the submarines, our computer areas were kept at a steady 63 degrees so that that equipment did not overheat. And we had to have two 450-ton air conditioners to support that, along with all the other air conditioning loads that are on a submarine. But the point is that the storage units require cooling, and glycol, it can absorb the heat, but then you've got to cool it, and you're going to have either use air conditioning, which requires water, or you're going to cool it with water, or whatever method they think they can use. So I'm here to say, send a denial to the Board of Supervisors, because they're going to get the same group of people talking to them so that they understand that the residents of Warren County, we do not want data centers. That's it.
Hi, Ruth Furr, Happy Creek District. So I had a speech, I'm not reading it. Most of everything that's in it has been covered. I want to start off by just saying that thank y'all for your time. I know it's tough sitting there and listening to all this maybe, but just want to thank you for doing that. I just want to ask that you put the community above dollar signs. When you look at it, evaluate, take what's been said, maybe do some of your own research. Well, I guess you're voting tonight, but just vote no or vote to deny it, the change. And I also want to tell you a story. So I am a widow of 3 years and 4 months. And in my healing journey in the last month, I've been going up to Signal Knob Overlook just about every evening to watch the sunset. And it has been part of my healing journey. I was up there July 4th. And as y'all know, people with the fireworks. And you know how the booms and then the delay, right? Because of the distance and light and sound and that distance. So I was listening to that, and it was crazy how all up and down the valley, from standing there, we could see Middletown's fireworks. Strasburg's was around the mountain. We could see their lights. We could see Woodstock. We could see Luray, the lights going off, and all the individual, but the way the sound was carrying. So I'm just addressing the sound because that was my recent experience. We are the northern entrance to the Skyline Drive. We are the canoe capital of Virginia. We have a lot of great things that we stand for. And I've recently been reading a lot of books of people that have hiked the Appalachian Trail and their healing journey. And we have that going right through our backyards, and we don't want to ruin that. That brings tourism, and that's another issue. So really take, everything you're hearing, the water, the sound, all of that into consideration, and just, I ask that you deny. And I'm not using all my time. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Mark Frondorf. I'm the Shenandoah Riverkeeper, and I'm a resident of Page County. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. I urge you to reject Rushmore's request to add the language to allowing data centers to be permitted in Warren County. In place of that, what I also urge you to do is to take the lead in the creation of a regional Shenandoah Valley Data Center Water Policy Commission. Such a commission would provide the independent scientific expertise, regional coordination, and public transparency needed to address one of the most consequential land use decisions our region has ever faced. Just as importantly, it would help restore public confidence. Whether justified or not, many Valley residents believe data center developers have already gained undue influence over local decision-making. That perception alone erodes trust. An independent commission of experts, hydrologists, economists, engineers, geologists, farmers, conservation organizations, all come together to help ensure that decisions are guided by sound science rather than speculation, politics, or pressure from any single interest. Sadly, data centers, they're coming to the Shenandoah Valley. The question is not whether they will arrive, but whether we will have a regional strategy in place before they do. Water deserves particular attention. Depending upon their cooling systems, data centers can require substantial water resources. In a valley experiencing recurring drought, declining groundwater levels, and increasing competition for limited supplies, we cannot afford to evaluate projects one at a time without understanding their collective impacts. This commission would not decide whether individual projects should be approved. Its purpose would be to develop science-based regional standards, evaluate cumulative water demands, identify best management practices, and provide independent technical guidance to local officials like you facing extraordinarily complex decisions. The Shenandoah River, our aquifers, and our watershed do not recognize county boundaries. Our planning shouldn't either. By establishing a regional Shenandoah Valley Data Center Water Policy Commission, Warren County can demonstrate leadership, transparency, and responsible stewardship for generations to come. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Miles McCord from the Happy Creek District. I'm here to urge the commission to deny the changes to the ordinance because I'm opposed to the data centers coming to this county. And the reason of that basis for that position is that the harm that it's been going to bring to the county, to the people and the land of this county. And that's been eloquently spoken by many people before me. I will note that just now listening to hear that you have problems with the microphone, with the cell phones potentially. It's unintended consequences. That's a rather high technology, but a very small scale. Imagine what the intended consequences could be when you scale up to a data center now down the road. I will note too that this is the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence. Our founding fathers did a pushback against the British Parliament because they had ignored the voices of the people here in the Americas. And a prominent member of that founding fathers was Dr. Joseph Warren, and who is the namesake that this county is named after. And I would think that if Dr. Warren had a notion that the voices of this people in this county were being ignored or dismissed, he would be appalled and aghast that any such thing would happen under a county under his name. I also add another statement. I think that it emphasizes the importance of what denial will mean. And it comes from a statement that it's in the Top Gun movie from the original movie. And I'll paraphrase it. And basically, someone is going to be promising you big checks, but neither the Shenandoah River, the Shenandoah Valley, or the Appalachian Mountains will be able to catch at all. And it's given that this county is one of its emphasis is the Shenandoah Valley. If you look at the emblem, that's going to be put at risk if you allow data centers into this region. And I would think that Dr. Warren, if he was around still, he would approve the message I conveyed tonight.
Good evening. My name's Kaylee Tanner, and I'm from neighboring Strasburg. The vote tonight is so much bigger than adding a land use to your zoning ordinance. It's about deciding what belongs at the front door of Shenandoah Valley. Warren County has a unique responsibility as the gatekeepers of Shenandoah Valley. For countless people traveling south on Interstate 81 and Interstate 66, this county is their first impression of the valley. That gives you a responsibility that extends beyond your county line. The decisions you make here help define how the entire Shenandoah Valley is seen. Once data centers become an allowed use, the conversation is no longer if they belong, it becomes where they belong. And that's a decision that will shape Warren County for generations. If the gateway opens the door, the pressure will not stop here. It will move throughout the valley, and that's why your decision carries responsibility beyond these lines. Just tonight, within the last hour, Frederick County Board of Supervisors voted unanimously to have the planning staff draft a resolution to remove data centers from all zoning in their county. This matters because these things don't belong in our valley, and I apologize respectfully to the river guy. As long as it's up to the people and you listen, they're not coming to this valley. Humanity has a tendency to forget its lineage, and we inherit names, places, and freedoms, but over time we lose sight of the people and the principles that gave them meaning. And I'd like to share a short history lesson because your county was named in honor of Dr. Joseph Warren, the Revolutionary War hero who gave his life in battle at the Battle of Bunker Hill. He was honored because he chose to defend something greater than himself. Even the name Warren carries a fitting meaning because historically it means defender and protector, and gamekeeper, someone entrusted with caring for and guarding a piece of land and the life within it. In his last letter to his mother, Dr. Warren is quoted to have written, "Where danger is, dear mother, there must your son be. I will set America free or die." And it's upon this patriotism and legacy which the county of Warren was founded. Dr. Joseph Warren had to sacrifice his life to defend and protect. All you have to do is shut the door to a predator who's trying to steal, kill, and destroy your county. Tonight, I ask you to honor the legacy behind your county's name, be its defender, be its keeper. Recommend denial of the proposed ordinance change. Thank you.
My name is Adam Bittner. I'm from the Shenandoah District. Thank you all who are up there who have paid due respect to all your speakers tonight. And others, man, recuse yourself. Let's get down to brass tacks since this seems to be about money. They're proposing $2.4 million to come as 2% tax income. We've had property increases of 18%. So does that mean that we're going to get 9 more of these to help offset that? All these other local jurisdictions have had further increases in property taxes due to data centers being right next to them. So we've got 9, 10, 11, 12 more coming. How many? Furthermore, data centers in whole were exempt of $1.9 billion, $1.9 billion last year. You know how much that 2.4 million is of that? 0.12%. Enough said. Please deny data centers in Warren County. Deny any language that would include them. Deny. Recuse yourself, Paul.
Elizabeth Bittner, Shenandoah District. I have a detailed list of reasons why data centers would harm our beautiful community and the things we love most about it, most of which have already been covered by my fellow citizens, so instead I will share this. We do not want them here or there. We do not want them anywhere. Not by the creek, not on the hill, not where the night is quiet and still. They hum and buzz and never sleep. They drink up power stacked so deep. They blink with lights in endless row while traffic grows and our river slows. Our roads are small, our skies are wide. We like our stars we see outside. We like our home, both calm and slow, where winding rivers gently flow. But giant boxes, steel and wire, can crank the noise and heat much higher. They bring big grids, they draw big loads, and change the shape of country roads. So let them rise in places planned where heavy power meets demand. But here we'd like our clean, quiet air. We do not want them anywhere. Please recommend to deny this and any future proposed ordinance changes that would allow data centers in our community. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Chris Anderson. I am the Page and Morgan County Coordinator for Alliance for the Shenandoah Valley with our offices in Newmarket. Our mission is to inform and engage people to protect the natural resources, cultural heritages, and rural character of our region. I'm going to keep this really short and sweet. Data centers are a complex issue, but the decision in front of you this evening is not complex at all. I urge you to recommend denial of this proposed zoning text amendment. The language submitted by the applicant is inadequate to protect the community, natural resources, and the quality of life in Warren County. That leaves a lot of questions unanswered. And I think it's just very clear to you all, as you've heard from all the eloquent speakers this evening, that the right decision is to just recommend denial of the text amendment. Thank you.
Okay, can I get 70 through 79, please?
Thank you. Sherilyn Ackerman, North River District. I come before you not with a lot of facts and figures. I come to you with personal experience. I worked in Loudoun County for quite some time, and I actually worked in Prince William County as well as lived there and was a resident there for over 30 years. Moved to Front Royal to have a slower pace and a quieter sense of life. But the people that I know in Loudoun County and the people that I know, the many people that I know in Prince William County, I've spoken to them, especially because Prince William is newer, coming on the scene with the data centers. And I want to tell you that not one person that I spoke to is recommending data centers in any other areas after they have seen them in Prince William County. I also wanted to say that within the last 48 hours, Prince William County Board of Supervisors unanimously rejected plans for a 2,000-acre data center, citing among other things, environmental harm and a desire to protect the quality of life for residents living nearby as their deciding factors. So I just ask you to ask yourself why, if Prince William County, who has approved these data centers, and they have multiple data center projects in the pipeline as well as that are up and functioning, thinks this venture or avenue is so lucrative, then why have we seen two major projects essentially killed before they have gotten started? I urge you to vote to recommend denial of any text amendment regarding data center usage to the Board of Supervisors. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Elizabeth Stoney. I represent the Fork right near the Government Center. So I'd like to speak a little bit on Independence Day. To me, it represents much more than cookouts and fireworks. It represents the Declaration of Independence, written by one of Virginia's greatest presidents, Thomas Jefferson. This great document states that our God-given rights are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Can you hear me? Okay. Data centers threaten every one of these rights. I applaud every courageous person who has spoken before me and given me the courage to speak. Data centers not only threaten our health, but also the health of animals, the pollinators, our crops. Illnesses are caused by stress, low quality of life. Please hear what we are telling you. The brown tap water discovered by a woman who lived 100 yards from a data center. How would you like to be one of the Kentucky residents when a data center wanted to dig up bodies from a gravesite? The Kentucky residents protested and they were threatened with a lawsuit. Liberty is our freedom to say no to data centers without having to be threatened with a lawsuit. We have the freedom to choose our homes. A farmer has the right to grow his crops. We do not live in a communist country, but data centers are abusing the eminent domain law. They are snatching land away from farmers. They're digging up someone's private property to put electrical outlets under their private yards. The pursuit of happiness. You have heard from people who have shared their concerns about how data centers will infringe on their peace of mind. Their lawsuits infringe on our freedom of will. Our emotions are in overdrive because of the potential anxiety and negative effects on our health from data centers. Our soul consists of our mind, will, and our emotions. We are in a spiritual battle between good and evil. You heard Amber Martin say that Warren County is not for sale. So I want to ask all of you who are responsible for governing Front Royal, are your souls for sale?
Jerry Pars, Fork District. I'm asking the board to say no to data centers in Warren County. Front Royal already goes through voluntary, mandatory, and emergency water restrictions every single year. That alone makes high-volume water user unacceptable. But the bigger issue is that Front Royal is downriver. If Warren County approves data centers, or if any county upriver approves them, Front Royal has no say, yet we take the hit. Once those facilities are built upstream, our water supply is permanently affected. We cannot vote our way out of that. And here's the part that matters for this board. Warren County cannot force upriver counties to say no, but Warren County can only negotiate regional protections if Warren County says no first. If we approve data centers, every county upstream will point to our approval as justification for those. We lose all leverage to demand coordination, shared standards, or water impact agreements.
Once an upriver county approves a data center, Front Royal can't restrict its water use, but we still have to live with the consequences. So let me make this very clear. If Warren County says yes, we're telling every county upstream that data center water use is acceptable. If we say no, we're telling them that it's not. That's the only leverage that we have. And once we give it away, we don't get it back. Until we have a water system that can support the people who already live here without annual emergency restrictions, the responsible answer is no.
Hi, Nancy Real from the Port District. I did not plan to speak tonight, but after listening to everything that my fellow residents have said, I please implore you to deny this.
Perfect.
Hi, my name is Carol Phillips, and I'm from the Happy Creek District. And I'm also the president of the High Knob Utilities Board of Directors. That means we provide drinking water to 498 homes located on High Knob. So obviously, I'm very concerned about the water resources that we have available in our community. Currently, as we all know, the Shenandoah Valley in the surrounding area is under a drought warning. This has been going on for a couple of years. I don't think it's any secret that we've had mandatory emergency water restrictions. And actually, because of this, High Knob has stepped up, and we've asked our residents to, we put ourselves under a voluntary water restriction just because we see what's coming. The water, we can measure the production of our water on the mountain, and I'm telling you that every year the production is dropping and dropping and dropping. So we ask our residents for a voluntary water restriction in order to do our part to preserve water for the county. It does not just affect High Knob, the water resources. We got aquifers, we got springs, we got groundwater, and it just doesn't serve High Knob. It serves the entire community, it serves the entire region. So my question to you is, we're doing our part, voluntary water restrictions. I'm asking you to please do your part and deny data centers in Warren County because it's going to affect everybody. We're doing our part. Are you doing yours? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Emily Melly, and I live in the Happy Creek District. Thank you all for being here tonight and for hearing us all. I've been a permanent resident in the Warren County for only about 6 months, but I went to college in this area for 4 years. I used to live in Fairfax County, but after a little while, I felt the pull to return to this area, and I did. As has already been said, but is worth reiterating, not only will data centers have a negative effect on the environment and disrupt the natural beauty of this area, they will most likely require excessive energy and water consumption, as has already been said, leading to higher electricity and water bills for county residents. Private property value will go down, public property value will go up. It's a lose-lose situation for county residents, families, and small business owners. Data centers will also be detrimental to small businesses, of which this county has so many and on which this area relies. There's a lot of beautiful young families in this area, and we saw a couple of beautiful examples earlier this night. Let's preserve this area for them, for my generation, as it has been preserved for generations before us. Not all change is good change. Not all progress actually gets us anywhere. The gentleman from Brushmark said the property in question is the most logical location for a data center in Warren County, but we don't want this data center, and we don't want one anywhere, period. And honestly, the biggest reason of all to oppose the proposed text amendment is because the people you represent are not in favor of it. So please vote to recommend denial of the proposed ordinance change. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Patience Francis. I live in Fork District. I think we all know that men dressed in fancy suits and ties are paid to lie to you and to us. Business model makes the representatives have to build more and more and more, and that's their business model. That's why they're here, and that's why they're after our beautiful land. It's not to better our quality of life, and definitely not to give their money away. And why are there ordinances in place for small properties, but all of them just magically disappear for the monstrosities that come on in? The answer is simple. It's money promised, usually not delivered, with the tax breaks already mentioned. By now, I'm sure you've all seen and heard a lot of footage and arguments for and against and having data centers in Warren County. I hope you hear everyone out today and really think about the impact you're having on the generations that you will be responsible for what happens to this beautiful region. You'll be responsible for handing down to your children and loved ones' future environment. There's no argument that could possibly sway someone's opinion to turn in drinking water, sustainable agricultural streams and rivers for noise, pollution, and major health issues. These issues are not, they're now just coming out and being investigated and proven. There's a little history about my history of Front Royal. My daughter danced on this stage plenty of times. I raised my children here. I was a single mom working in different nursing homes, and I still am with the elderly in this area. I live and I work here, and I love it here. I love my children and I love my job. I love my location, and Front Royal is absolutely perfect in many, many regards. In fact, Front Royal is actually the perfect so-called smart city if you want to go there. And convenience and beauty all in one. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And this is an absolute beautiful town. And one last point. My daughter died a year and a half ago. Her resting spot is on the hill at Good Hope Cemetery. I don't know if you know or not, but once data centers start coming in here, they will take farmland, homes, businesses, and yes, even cemeteries with eminent domain. This is inhumane. I recommend denial of the change of ordinance for allowance of data centers to build in Warren County, or at least a moratorium for now until further research can be done. Thank you.
Can I get 80 through 89, please?
Hello, my name is Catherine Schmidt, and I'm out in the Happy Creek District. I came here around 6:30, and I was racking my brain. I was handed number 79. I was like, okay, I got plenty of time to think of something super amazing and inspiring to say out here. I think, honestly, as far as the facts are concerned, I'll leave that to my betters. I think really there's been a lot of information for y'all to mull over tonight. But I just want to reinforce two things which I've heard. Firstly, I think the community here is really diverse in this room. There's a lot of people here with. Is that better? Thank you. So first off, there's a lot of people in this room who come from a lot of different backgrounds who disagree on really most issues, but we're all here because we really believe that this is important, and we're here because we're not convinced that the positive effects will actually be good for this community, and we're very seriously concerned that the negative effects outweigh the financial gain. So really your voice does matter, and even though y'all won't be approving this application, the Board of Supervisors will be reading over your report. They'll be reading over and seriously considering what you advise them to do. So please, we strongly advise and encourage and honestly urge them to deny this application. Thank you.
Darlis Blumberg, Shenandoah District. Facts, they matter. Data centers create heat islands, 2 to 16 degrees within 6 miles of where they are. That means more electric and more water for everybody to try to keep cool, but yet will be restricted. Noise pollution, it's not a quick test. It's 24/7. People are suffering all kinds of illnesses because of it, neurological and everything. EMF vibrations create neurological illnesses, not only in people, but affects the wildlife and the farm animals. The cows that have been around them have been known to bang their heads in lower births and stillbirths. Don't think that won't happen to people. Air pollution, we humans kind of need air to live. Don't think we need a worse health crisis in our country by making more data centers. Fires, data centers do have fires. Some have had 80 calls in a year, and we really don't need our fire department responding to that versus your own constituents, our neighbors, our friends, our family. Our fire department is not equipped to deal with the type of fires that occur and the toxicity that they cause. It'll raise our bills, cause outages and restrictions. We're going to end up like Lake Tahoe, maybe, hopefully not, where they think the data centers get the electricity and not the people. It needs to be humans, your constituents, over machines. The high-power transmission lines, most powerful in all the world now, are being proposed all across different areas of Virginia. They're bombarding us with science fairs to try to propagandize and, cover their butts as far as we've told the public. They're not giving a real good information, but we know that they're dangerous for humanity to have regular ones, let alone the ones that are 175 to 200 and some feet tall. The most powerful ever, 700 and some watts. We've been told that not to worry, that we weren't going to have data centers here because there's not enough water. Come on, don't worry. So when did that change? I don't think it has. The aquifers and wells can go dry. We need water to survive, live, and people again over machines. Our property values can plummet. I came out here for peace, quiet, to see the stars and hear the cows moo at night. I don't want to see any of that go away. I want to see the stars at night. The light pollution denigrates that. For all that's true, good, and beautiful, I implore you, don't sell us out and don't sell your souls. Instead, choose to be heroes for our country and vote no.
Hello, my name is Izzy Sheikh from the Shenandoah District. I'm fifth generation Palestinian American. My great-great-grandparents came here in 1905. I'm very grateful actually right now for this opportunity to exercise my freedom of speech. I am married to the grandson of Bill Hipple, who was a gentleman who accomplished a lot actually in this community. And one of the things he did was test the Shenandoah River for a lot of the chemicals and pollution and whatnot that was occurring when Avtex and DuPont and whatnot were on the south side. And we already know, of course, of the presence and everything that occurs now on the north side. We live right on the river, and our kitchen actually used to be his laboratory. It's just kind of funny because we used to get our drinking water from Culligan, and I can't even boil water for tea without sludge accumulating on the sides of the kettle. We now get our water from Walmart, and the water is a lot clearer. Of course, it goes through a filtration process. But now with this data center right there next to it, it doesn't matter what you do, actually. Studies have shown that it's impossible to clean the water, even if it goes through an entire system. You cannot recycle the water. It's impossible to remove the PFAs. It literally becomes sludge. I just wanted to add that while I appreciate our ability to have freedom in different ways, obviously human to human, we care a lot about what's going on right now in Warren County. But as far as corporations having more rights than human beings, even then, I think that we can do better. We can get a lot more creative with what to do with the industrial lot. We can still have many opportunities for that gentleman to be able to sell his lot without having to have such detrimental and devastating effects. I believe that every day is Judgment Day. Every day is Judgment Day. and you can choose what to do today. You can choose to do the right thing. You can choose to show us that our freedom of speech isn't just air. So please vote to recommend denial of the proposed ordinance change. Thank you.
My name is Jim Shanley. I'm from the Happy Creek District, and I sincerely want to thank you for the time you're giving us and the work that you're doing. It's admirable, and even when we're not very happy with what we think you might be doing, or we do pray that your good judgment prevails, and I'll leave that there. My wife and I have had the blessing to live and raise our children in Warren County for 28 years, and I hope this beautiful area continues to be as beautiful and safe as it has been. And I please help keep our county beautiful, our water clean, and our air unpolluted. And to that end, please vote to recommend denial of the proposed ordinance change. And thank you.
Hello, I'm David Quaren, Shenandoah District resident. I have visited Warren County for decades to savor the trails, the rivers, wildlife. I was blessed to move here full-time 3 years ago. Since moving here, I understand and experience that we are in a sustained drought. It's already affecting local businesses and residents alike. We must not sacrifice our already strained natural resources to predatory, non-local corporations. We know this change will open the door to further similar pursuits. Here, today, we're protected from such predatory development. I urge you to recommend denial of the proposed ordinance change. Thank you.
My name is Manuel Vicente, and I live near Big Lots, but I'm not sure exactly what district it is. But speaking of Big Lots, well, it's about 5 minutes away where I live. This is these are really big lots, right? We had some water pipe issues recently in our development that kind of grows out of Front Royal. It's not really part of Front Royal, and that was a problem. There was an arrangement made by the developer with the government to get some services, but maybe not meet the code. And this happened in the 1980s, and so it kind of did a disservice to the future generations, which is us, you know. So we had to fix this issue where the pipe broke closest to our property, and we spent quite a bit of money on it. And in addition to all the taxes that we have to pay, which are pretty high, especially the county tax. But so yeah, we had this water issue, and it's a simple development. It wasn't a data center. Data center has many complications, as you heard. Water, electricity, noise, pollution, and unanticipated future impacts. Because remember, the development was in the 1980s, and now we're still, as residents, we're paying for it in 2026. So I invite the people who are considering or wanting to build the data centers, why don't they come and form a community around it? Why aren't they doing that? Maybe the term data center stands for don't care. And maybe the term Warren County, which we are the residents of, stands for we count and we care. And I would ask you all to join us and make what we say count and care about the community as we have all shown you. And I really want to thank you for being here so in this long night. And please recommend the denial of the data centers. Thank you.
Hi there, Robert Funk, North River. 2.6%. Wowee, how many leafers, hikers, and festival goers is that worth? How much will the damage to property values offset such splendor? Ashburn just sold 130 acres for $4.4 million per acre for data centers. Now, I don't want or trust them in Warren at all, but it's insulting that we're facing a grim decision on our future and our children's future for comparatively pennies. The town blocked the 113 acres for supposedly a 10,000 square foot data center. What would they have done with the remaining 112.8? What would Rushmark? If these companies must pay for their own substations and water, how long before they start making demands of the town because of their investments? Who wants to be beholden to the whims of a wildly unpopular and unreliable business model and Trojan horse? Even a small one can use vast amounts of energy. We use around 40 kilowatts a day or 1.3 megawatts a month in the average household. We just had a water main in town burst for maybe 2 hours. Half the town had no water and the rest had their water pressure dropped to nothing. The only thing missing was jets taking off nonstop and we would have gotten a demo of the data center experience. A widely accepted average is each acre consumes 3.5 megawatts per day, about 82 homes worth per day. I would rather see 82 families enjoy heat, cooling, water, and working appliances than 1 acre of a loud stone sarcophagus designed to reap our way of life. Supposedly, they can't use more than 3,095 gallons of water per day, necessitating closed loop or air cooling, but these companies find it easier to ask forgiveness than permission. Do we realize that the indirect costs on water for draws way more than that? Around 2,000 gallons per megawatt. Who's to say that the chemical and rayon slurry at the Avtex site wouldn't have left the data center in constant disrepair that they washed their hands of as a loss, or lead a whole new generation to terminal and lifelong conditions like Avtex did? Why levy an incalculable sin on our beautiful vistas because of greed stringing along gullible optimism in tech? I've seen it said that a data center can't be more than 100,000 square feet, 2.3 acres, 8.2 megawatts per day. How many would they have attempted to fit in Avtex or Rockland? If temperance and compassion for the people of this county isn't enough, think with greed and pride. Tourism, business. Do you think RMA will take kindly to losing its international prestige to the brownouts, blackouts, noise, and worsening of the decade-long water conservation and drought that this will cause? Rockland's looking at a 46-acre special use permit, 161 megawatts per day, 4,000 homes worth. The whole town uses around 430 megawatts a day, and this would strain nearly 40% on top. The grid would need significant upgrades and additions to accommodate and would indirectly, drastically exceed the 3,095 number. If we truly care about home values, this is one of the worst possible doors to open. Recommend denial of the proposed ordinance change.
Can I get 90 through 97?
Lori Martin, South River. That's a hard act to follow right there between that and the Dr. Seuss rhyme. I think everyone summed it up. So I just want to implore all of you to vote no on the amendment to add data centers. Nobody wants it here. Thank you.
Anita Miller, North River District. Again, people that went before me said most of what I wanted to say. I went to Luray Caverns today, though, and I saw an automobile in their antique car barn, and it was built 1908, I believe, and it had 2 horsepower and went 25 miles per hour top speed. And I was looking at the car next to it, which was built a short 6 years later, and it had 24 horsepower and a top speed of 60 miles per hour, 60, only 10 miles per hour less than our top speed on our 66 freeway, 128 years later, or 18 years later. So my point is that the be-all and end-all of this data centers, the way they're pushing them around our nation, pushing them out like we have to have them. I believe that the technology will quicken in the next 6 years. And I think data centers may very well be obsolete, and we will have forfeited our beautiful land for what somebody else told us was a gain. Thank you.
Michelle Franson, North River District. I know it's been a long night. I know you're tired. I know you've heard a lot of things from a lot of people, facts, stories. I can't say that I'm going to say anything unique or add to it. I'm standing here asking you, with every other person aside from one, to please say no, vote no, give your recommendation of no. So this is not a decision being made in the absence of evidence. We already have the evidence. You've heard countless people share the evidence. I do want to talk about the power grid. You know, we're living through another reminder of why this matters. Because during this week's heat wave, the PJM power grid, which serves Virginia, came dangerously close to record demand. Emergency measures were taken and residents were asked to conserve electricity to protect grid reliability. Data center growth is already recognized as one of the major drivers of increasing electricity demand across our region. The other thing I want to talk about is hubris. We've heard our sorry, I don't know his name. Yeah, Rushmore. We've heard him talk about that they're going to do it different. They have this whole plan to do it different. But that is where hubris becomes dangerous. Hubris is believing that somehow we will escape the consequences that other communities are already experiencing. It is believing that Warren County is the exception to overwhelming evidence. Hope is not a plan. Wishful thinking is not responsible planning. And these companies that want to force data centers here don't care about our community or the communities that they affect. They only care about money in their pockets. And we are the ones left holding the bag and holding the consequences. So this is not a matter of where a data center goes in Warren County. This is a matter of saying no to all data centers, because Warren County does not need a data center. You are asking us to assume permanent risk for someone else's business model. Your responsibility is not to protect the interests of companies headquartered somewhere else. It is to protect the people who live here. So I'm asking you to please recommend no. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Mike Schotten from the South River District. I'm here to go up, be on record in requesting that the committee reject the proposed zoning amendment that would potentially open the door for allowing data centers in Warren County. It would be incredibly short-sighted to recommend otherwise. Listening to the salesman that represents Rushmark did nothing to assuage my suspicion that there is any, that they are disingenuous in their claims that our community's concerns are unfounded, and everything will be just fine. As one example, while mentioning the backup generators, which many people have talked about, it's my understanding that in addition to being there to meet high demand, they also are turned on once a month, actually, I don't know if it's all at once, but they're all turned on once a month to test to make sure that they are still working. So whether it's high demand or not, you can count on at least once a month, 100 generators booting up and spitting out their diesel, whatever comes out, emissions. Another thing too that this one of the speakers not too far in front of me made a point at is how fast technology is changing. It'd be insane to invest in a business of this sort when, you know, how fast technology is shrinking and changing, and we're going to build this incredibly huge and imposing and ridiculous infrastructure for technology that's going to change in 5 years, maybe less, if you just look how fast computers have been shrinking, changing the power demanded from the different sizes. It just, long term, it makes no sense at all. It would be incredibly short-sighted. So the ones of you that are at least trying to pretend like you're paying attention to the people speaking, you know who you are, buddy. You do. Thank you for paying attention. Thank you for listening to us, and please recommend against canning this the zoning ordinances. Thank you, and good God, dude, pay attention to the people of the community. You're despicable.
Sir, it's uncalled for. That is uncalled for. Officer, help this gentleman leave. Help that gentleman leave. We're not put. The despicable part is an insult. That's uncalled for. I don't. You need to leave. Let's. Okay, let's move on. If you're in preference to the attorney, then he's not voting.
All right. I'm Steve Maxwell from the South River District. We've heard a lot about the harms of data centers, air quality issues, blighted landscapes, water issues, noise, infrasound. I wanted to keep this nice and short and submit that the representative from Rushmark give us the nice metaphor for understanding what they've offered, which is that their mitigations are literally window dressing. Please vote no. Thank you very much for your time.
Hello, I'm Francis Powell. I live in the Shenandoah District. I'm 22 years old. Real quick, to contribute to what other people have said about mental health, there are a lot of other people with mental health issues outside of this building and outside of this meeting tonight. And I will respectfully say that adding a data center will worsen those issues. I will finish off with one simple question. How do we know that the 5-year drought we are experiencing isn't a result of the 665 data centers in Virginia? We are already being impacted by data centers, considering how many data centers are already sucking the water supply. We can't in good conscience add to this problem. I respectfully ask, please say no to data centers in all forms. Thank you.
I'm Irma Powell. I'm a Shenandoah District, and that's my son who wanted to stay up very late, even though we're going out to Charlottesville at 6:30 tomorrow morning. But this is very important. And I want to thank you all for your time and your service and staying here tonight. I know it's a difficult situation, but this is what a democratic republic's about, and everybody's working hard to do it. Even if hypothetically the data centers were a wonderful idea, it's clear that the vast majority of the people in our county feel that it is a crass exploitation of our community. And to paraphrase a previous speaker, that we need to have the wisdom to decline what is not good for our, it's a threat to our natural resources and our lifestyle and what we hold most dear, which is the peace and tranquility of our community. Also, I'm seeing that we have here a unique opportunity to show the community that we can come together for the good of the community. And I invite all those that are here and have come here, I invite you, when this is over, and I suspect you are not wild about data centers either, but I want everyone here, when this goes through, and if we can block these data centers from coming, to not go home and pat yourself on the back, but to recognize that our participation in this process has brought about that, and that we need to stay involved in our community. And we need to also appreciate the people that are doing the grunt work here up on the thing and sitting here and putting up with stuff. And, it may be difficult for them to be able to stay focused. It might be difficult for them to be able to absorb all the information here, but we're all trying to work on this together. And I think that we can, as a community, make our community a better one. And I think if we all stay and participate in it and work together with those that have pledged themselves to serve us, that we can do great things in this county. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Scott Lloyd. I'm from the Happy Creek District. I just wanted to make a few points. So much has been covered tonight, but I thought I could try and cover some things that we haven't delved too deeply into tonight. One thing is the politics. If you think about Avtex, it was the backbone of our economic life here in Front Royal. It was before my time, but as a former council member, I got to hear the story of how that happened and what exactly happened. And there was a order that came down, and it was to go into effect at midnight on a Friday. And at midnight on Friday, they shut down operations at Avtex. They just put the switch, and the liquefied rayon, it solidified in tanks underground that they later had to retrieve. And what happened there? It was the cutting edge of technology, and then suddenly it changed. It changed overnight, and what happened was the politics changed. Because the EPA and the Clean Water Act came along and said you can no longer do this, and we need to shut it down. And just speaking about the local politics here, I'm currently a candidate for chairman of the Republican committee, and as I was out there greeting people, I believe that I ran into the chairman of the Warren County Democratic Committee, who is here also opposing data centers. The politics have completely aligned in Warren County to oppose data centers. And I think that that's a pretty remarkable thing considering some of the things that tend to divide this community. I'm going to speak quickly about technology. It's been touched on a few times, but the companies who are on the cutting edge of these things are already telling us what they're going to do. SpaceX and also Blue Origin are planning to put data centers in space where they can collect energy through solar power. And the concerns over cooling and also having to have this discussion on a nationwide basis in communities throughout the country is completely unnecessary because everything's out in space. And so the cutting edge and the future of these technologies is that all of this is going up into space, and there's no way that it's going to be cheaper because of the way that they're harvesting the energy to achieve these things. Finally, I just wanted to talk about something else that people have brought up, and that's the peace. The peace that we find in this community. I used to be a road warrior who came back from DC and could feel the tension lifting as I was driving out. And so many people have described the same thing, and we're contemplating importing what we're escaping into this community. Please vote no. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that is the end of the sign-up list.
Okay. Is there anyone that wants to speak that did not sign up?
Please come up to
Please
the
come forward.
podium and get in line here. And if you would do the clerk a favor, when you say your name, please enunciate. I'm trying to get everybody's name spelled correctly.
Airplane mode works. Do data centers have airplane modes? That would be helpful. Catherine Antunes, Fork District. I'm a nurse, been a nurse for 3 years. I do not represent any of the 3 major health systems within 100 miles of here that I've worked for, but I can tell you healthcare system can't afford even minor detrimental health effects. We generally don't find out till later what causes cancer. So do not put that on your ledger. I'm sure each and every one of you knows someone who's died from cancer. So please say no to data centers. Thank you.
Hi,
Kathleen Mancini, Shenandoah District. A lot of what I was going to talk about has already been talked about, so I will talk about one thing. I think one person mentioned it, so I'll mention it again. Data centers are like heat sinks. They increase the air and ground temperatures for miles around them by 4 to 15 degrees. So with the record temperatures last week, can you imagine if it was 4 degrees hotter or 15 degrees hotter? I know when I got in my car one day last week in Front Royal, my car said it was 107 degrees. So add 15 degrees to that, that would have been 122 degrees. That will cause a lot of unintended consequences that will cost a lot of money to deal with. The other thing I want to talk about that I don't think anybody has mentioned yet, but tech companies are suing counties that began negotiations with them and then put a moratorium on data centers. As someone earlier said, Virginia law allows counties to say no to data centers. But if you start negotiations with them, that gives corporations standing to sue you. If you don't start negotiations with them, if you don't institute guidelines for data centers, they have no standing to file a lawsuit against you. They're like vampires. They can't come in unless you invite them in. But once you invite them in, they immediately suck you dry. And then if you say no, they suck you dry in court. Have you noticed how they like to do things in secret negotiations and hidden information? Because vampires can't survive in sunlight and transparency. Take Nancy Reagan's advice and just say no. Say no before you invite vampires in, before you negotiate with them, before you pass guidelines. Remember, when dealing with vampires, sunlight and transparency beats them. Any invitation allows them to suck you dry. Just say no.
I'm Angela Keller, and I'm in the South River District. Tonight, I respectfully ask you, as the Planning Commission, to recommend denial of the ordinance amendment. This decision is larger than any single project or applicant. The question before you is whether Warren County should fundamentally change its zoning code to permit large-scale industrial development across the county. So if these new technologies requesting to become a permanent part of our landscape are so effective and safe, then why does this new ordinance proposal by Rushmark and other proposals that have been submitted in other towns and counties contain so many extensive sections devoted to noise, vibration, lighting, and water mitigation? Why so many provisions if the issues aren't problems in the first place? Some observations of the ordinance language in the new proposal that you are voting on tonight appear to have many escape hatches, and I just wanted to point out 8 of them just so that we're all on the same page and know what they are. 1, it gives an escape hatch for sound limits. They may be relaxed on a case-by-case basis. Number 2, vibration limits may be relaxed on a case-by-case basis. 3, height exceptions are available through special use permits. 4, building size can exceed 300,000 square feet through the special use permit process. Number 5, temporary potable water use for industrial cooling may be approved. 6, many compliance measurements appear to be performed by the operator's own consultants. 7, post-development reviews are conducted by the campus operator. And 8, certain rooftop equipment appears exempt from the building height limits altogether. So if you approve these changes, you have to take on the responsibility and the unknown consequences that are for all the rest of us here. It's not worth it. So, and we have the new unique situation here I mentioned, and when I spoke at the town meeting, that, we have Virginia's only U.S. national park right here in our back door. And it's asinine to even think that we would even consider this in our community. I wanted to speak about the soundscape and protecting the tranquility and natural quality of life we have here, right? We essentially live, like I mentioned before, in a long natural basin or a bowl, bounded by the Blue Ridge and the Alleghenies. So we're kind of like this natural amphitheater, and our unique geography can influence how sounds travel, particularly the low frequency noise. Low frequency sounds like the constant hum from cooling fans, chillers, HVAC systems from data centers don't dissipate as quickly as higher pitched sounds. So during temperature inversions common in the valley here, sound bends back toward the ground instead of escaping upward. So the industrial noise travels faster than it would over typical flat terrain. So this would not only affect those living close to it, but it would affect everyone in the county. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Joey Keeplack. I'm in the Fork District. Thanks for being here tonight. I've lived in Front Royal 15 years, married to a third generation Front Royal native. All of our 3 children are born in the same room she was born in 30 years ago. I own a local business that employs 20 people and supports about 50, and we all spend our money in town. There are no good reasons for us to allow data centers in Warren County, and there are 100 good reasons not to allow them. Nothing about data centers supports the vision of Warren County and the residents. The last thing we need is to become another statistic in the aggressive land and power grab of wealthy corporations. These people do not care about us and do not care about the permanent damage they will inflict on our community. Why in the world would we allow them to write a zoning text amendment to our own zoning code? Last month, the town of Front Royal stood up in the face of the power grab and did the right thing. They voted to ban data centers entirely. It is a very easy decision. Please stand with the town of Front Royal. Front Royal is the seat of the county and is showing Virginia the way forward. Please stand with us, not against us. Vote no on the zoning change and find a way to ban data centers from Warren County entirely. Thank you.
Hello. Hello, my name is Robert Martin. I live in Shenandoah District. I'm a retired nurse. I worked for Valley Health for many years. I find it hard to believe that there's anyone that actually thinks this proposal will make Warren County a better place to live. There are only people that know it won't and people that are going to benefit personally. So vote no. There is no reason, as the gentleman before me said, to allow this into Warren County. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Catherine Turner. I don't know what district I live in, but I want to tell you exactly where I live, directly across the street from the proposed site. If this data center is put in here, I will not, my home will not be livable, and I won't be able to sell it. My husband worked for 30 years to buy this house. It's an eyesore, I'll give you that. But that's, 2 years ago, I found myself within 4 months an orphan and a widow. I can't afford to buy a property anywhere else. If I don't sell this property, I will be destitute. But I don't ask you to vote no on this for me. It's just me. I'll be taken care of somehow. I'm telling you this because, and I don't have statistics, I don't have information, I only have my story. But my story could be your story. This could happen to anyone. This has happened to many others. There's no reason for us to allow people with big organizations to decide what happens to our people. And like I said, I'm just one person, but it could be you, could be anyone here that this could happen to. So please vote no on the data centers. I disapprove of data centers, not just in Front Royal, Warren County, but in this world. There's absolutely no reason why all of our data should be public information, should be stored without any recompense to us. But I know that we're not willing to let go of our cell phones or anything like that. although I would be. But another thing is about the money. I don't know that it will bring in, that a data center will bring in the revenue that they're proposing. But I do know that if there's data centers everywhere but here, people will move here. And you know you're going to get tax money from the people because that will be enforced. So in the long run, that would actually be more money too. That's all I have to say. Thank you for listening.
Hello, my name is Deborah Sheets in the Happy Creek District, and I would ask you to recommend denial of the proposed ordinance change for all of the reasons you have heard tonight. I think they're all very legitimate reasons, and that everyone who's spoken has really raised some very legitimate points. And as members of this committee, I believe you're responsible to the people of the county and not to outside businesses that may want to come in and cause harm, whether intentional or unintentional. I doubt it's intentional, but that's their aim. But there's definitely would be harm to the environment, likely to people, noise, air pollution, water shortages. These are all huge issues and cannot be overshadowed by maybe some temporary financial gains. And that we need to think about the future generations. And a new point I heard tonight that I hadn't heard yet was if you vote to allow the change, we won't be able to participate in possible efforts to work with other surrounding counties to address issues that may come up from other counties' use of data centers or allowance of data centers. One of the people who spoke tonight said that we would give up our option to participate in that type of effort. And I thought that was an important point. Also, I know other counties have spent, I think it was Prince William that I heard before, I could be wrong, $1.7 million to defend themselves against the harms they suffered from data centers that were promised not to happen. And our county doesn't have that kind of money, I believe. And it's really important to make the right decision now, and so not have suffer losses of that kind or the kinds needed to fix environmental damages, which could take many generations and lots of funds. So thank you for listening tonight. I know you've had a long night and I appreciate your attention, and please take this very, very seriously. There's so many harms that can come from this possibility. Thank you.
I'm Brian Achichulo from the Shenandoah District. I was born and raised in the Shenandoah Valley, and ironically, I moved back to the valley to keep a family farm running, and I actually lived in the wetland Fertile Crescent of Prince William County and saw the data centers going in there, moved back to keep the family farm running in the valley, and here I am today. Having listened to everybody, I back their sentiment. I'm putting myself in the shoes of someone who might be pro data center or more forward thinking when it comes to tech. If I was that person here today, I would know that I need to rethink this, go back to the drawing board, and correctly educate the people, because I would know that if I was to vote for the data centers, I'd be forcing myself on a community that does not want that. This community has been scarred by industry in the past. The scars are real, and I would know that I need to reapproach this with much more care, delicacy, studies that need to be done that have not been done. More data needs to come out. Even if I'm saying this as someone who hypothetically would be pro data center, I would know that this is not right at this time, and I would vote no. So I ask those who may be even thinking in their mind they're pro data center or have been won over by those arguments that it is not the time to do it now. Please vote no.
Good evening. My name is Chris Marbury. I live in the North River District. And a point I haven't really heard brought up is like just from the technology angle with modern data centers and how drastically they are different than from when they were 5 years ago. Next year, one of the major manufacturers of hardware is going to be deploying 1 megawatt racks. So a rack 6-7 feet tall, little wider than 19 inches. It's what stores all the computers that process everything. This has a 500 kilowatt access line. So that's half of a rack of a cutting edge next year model technology. Also, these things cannot be air cooled. They produce so much heat because they use so much power. They cannot be air cooled. They have to use water. And a smattering of headlines from the past year. Imperial Valley Computer Manufacturing had promised to not tap into the local water supply to build a data center. They were going to go the air-cooled route. They are now suing for access to 260 million gallons of water access a year in the Colorado River. Google and Amazon and Facebook have yearly water usage statistics that they release. Google is up 30% year-on-year usage for water because the heat cooling is so demanding. Meta, Facebook, is the only one releasing indirect water usage numbers, and that's 20 times higher than their direct usage of water. There was a data center found in Georgia who hooked up a unknown secret water line and siphoned out 29 million gallons of water from the community. And then they started complaining when they noticed their water pressure was going low. And the community, the government, the local government had no idea they had even done this. This is the industry you were inviting in. They say things and they do the opposite. So I recommend voting no for this effort on the rezoning rules and the act, whatever. Thank you for your time.
Hello, Lewis Moten from the North River District. So I heard that they said that this is going to be different, but they have proven otherwise with this amendment. It's very similar to a lot of what our neighboring counties do. Some things are relaxed a lot more. My issue is one with noise. Our code explicitly excludes civil penalties and financial impacts on any industry with noise issues. That is pretty much in our code. So I recommend that we actually start hardening down of what everybody's been talking about, not just data centers, everything, and make sure any industry that wants to do what data centers are doing are held accountable. My other issue is there's a lot of relaxed language. I don't know how you would make sure or convict somebody for not meeting a good faith effort. There's problems with generators. Depending on how many generators they can they can run nonstop from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. every day. There's no limits on the consecutive, how many hours, and then there's emergencies. I know we had heat problems recently. Are they going to turn on all their generators during a heat warning and say it's an emergency and go all in on their generators? I've sent you a lot of things. I urge you to look over. I heard a lady sound like she knew something about planning, and she pretty much echoed a lot of what I had to say previously. So please deny this. It is a very bad amendment. I mean, like, if they're going to say they're going to do something different, show us you're going to do something different. Don't go through with this. It's bad. And in my point of view, don't even allow them to come in. Start working on hardening our ordinances. Make sure that you can't come in. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Celia Cooley. I'm from the Happy Creek District. So I'm a recent graduate of JMU, and I completed my capstone research on environmental degradation of the Shenandoah River. I've lived in Front Royal since I was 12 years old. I was raised here. And I'm really concerned about the data center development. Disregarding the devastation of this development will cause to community pride, the environmental degradation data centers cause is irrefutable. As a biology major interested in water quality, I know how the Shenandoah River will be impacted. The aquatic environmental devastation will negatively impact the already threatened Shenandoah Valley and river. The increase in impervious surfaces next to the river will increase urban runoff from Front Royal. The amount of water utilized for the coolant system devastates the environment, but also the community's source of water. And this water evaporates after it's going through the coolant system, so that means it will not be returned to the watershed. This isn't just affecting us, it's affecting the entire Chesapeake Bay watershed. Development also completely eliminates the opportunity for this land to be utilized for other uses or restored. In addition, research has proven data center technology will be obsolete in the next few years, leaving Warren County with a huge wound that will not be healed for years to come. I have heard mentioned by individuals who support data center development that this site is inevitable for future development, and I'm here to tell you guys that it is not. You, me, and everyone here have the power to restore this site and protect the Shenandoah River. You have listened to over half of this room, I'd say the majority of this room, and they do not support data centers being here. The data center developers claim they are helping, and they do not support the community, what we want. So I'm here to implore you guys to please listen to us. We do not want this here. And I'd also like to say with my remaining time, I am really interested and invested in this community's access to clean water. I've been a river monitor of Happy Creek, which runs through Front Royal since I was in high school. I think about 15 years old, I was certified. I'm really invested in this community. I want this to be a healthy and happy place for everyone and hopefully my children. So thank you guys so much.
Hi, my name is Sarah Ernst. I'm from the South River District. I own and operate a small regenerative farm in Warren County. We're focused on native grassland restoration and small food production. Like many small farms and businesses in Warren County, we don't see agriculture and tourism as separate. Brookings' report on the DMV, published in December 2025, found that 43% of consumer spending in Warren County from May 2021 through September 2025 came from outside of the region. Brookings attributed that to Warren County's location at the gateway to the Shenandoah National Park and the Shenandoah Valley, as you've heard many times. I think everyone in this room is very well aware that putting data centers at the gateway to the Shenandoah Valley will not help tourism and business in the county. According to Virginia Tech, there are an estimated 230 agritourism venues in the Shenandoah Valley, supporting about $220 million in visitor spending and $22 million in state and local tax revenue. There are a lot of businesses that have moved into Warren County in recent years that are looking to build on this and develop the valley as an agritourism and nature location. Certainly, having an extra $2 million in tax revenue from a data center does not seem worth it to me to sacrifice the work of many small businesses in the area. When it comes to agritourism, 83% of agritourism spending occurs off the farms within local communities, supporting restaurants, lodgings, breweries, markets, gas stations, shops, campgrounds, and other small businesses. These are all things that Warren County has laid out are important businesses in its comprehensive plan. This is very different from the data center model. The Virginia Joint Legislative Audit and Review Committee report from December 2024 found that a typical 250,000 square foot data center may have about 50 full-time workers, half of whom may be contract workers. Construction jobs usually last 18 to 12 months, 12 to 18 months. Agritourism and rural small business development support distributed, locally rooted economies over time. Data centers may produce tax revenue, but they do not create the same kind of broad network of locally owned livelihoods. They are land intensive, power intensive, capital intensive, but they are not very labor intensive once they are built. I'm asking the county not to sacrifice an existing visitor and farm economy for an industrial use whose benefits are narrow. The question should not simply be whether data centers add revenue. It should be who benefits, who bears the costs, and what existing local businesses will be harmed. Thank you.
Name is Vincent Maresca, and I live in the Fork District. So I want to begin by thanking you again for listening to our constituents and the many concerns they have addressed regarding data centers. I just want to begin to clarify regarding the last meeting minutes of the Planning Commission and to include that in this brief presentation I presented. I respectfully criticize the key elements of Rushmark's statement of justification. Number 1 is electricity, 2, water, and 3, the economic incentives that the applicant presented regarding data centers. And it was echoed by many of the speakers that have come forward and talked about it. And since the last meeting, the town council passed a motion disapproving data centers within the town limits. And given that recent event, the planning commission has the opportunity now to follow suit in what the town council did and issue its recommendation not to allow data centers in Warren County. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tom Sepler. I live in the Happy Creek District. Thank you all for your time for tonight and for hearing us all out. Please vote no to the proposed ordinance changes. I don't know, I have not met a single person here in the county or town who would like data centers at present. Please give us, the community, a voice in how our community is shaped. Thank you.
Good evening, Planning Commissioners. My name is Peter Maresca, and I'm a resident of the Fork District. Thank you for giving us, the residents of Warren County, an opportunity to speak on this critical issue that will affect the short-term, but most importantly, the long-term effects of changes to the county. I strongly urge each and every one of you to recommend the denial of the ordinance change to the zoning text that would allow for data centers to be developed here in Warren County. As most of you are probably aware, the Front Royal Town Council recently unanimously voted down a planned ordinance amendment that would have allowed data centers in the Industrial Employment District by special use permit. Not only did the council deny an ordinance amendment, they placed a temporary moratorium on applications for data centers and also directed the Town Planning Commission to draft regulations to prohibit data centers in every zoning district. Why? The council said, and I quote, "This direction is made based upon council's determination that data center development will adversely impact the health, safety, welfare, infrastructure capacity, environmental resources, and character of the town of Front Royal." How much more so are these impacts going to be felt if data centers are allowed and given an open door across the entire county? This commission has this one opportunity to take one simple action that will keep the status quo and protect Warren County. Warren County does not currently allow data centers as a permissible use. Opening with vague language written by outside real estate development firms is bad precedent. We do not want our local laws to be written by billion-dollar investment companies that work on a macro industrial level scale, prioritizing self-interests over the safety and protection of this county's citizens, small businesses, and the natural environment around us. I'll be very charitable, but it was very short-sighted for Mr. Dan from Rushmark to claim that the Rockland property is the best place to build data centers. He might have wanted to ask the residents of Warren County before making such claims. Please protect our farms. Please protect our homes, protect our water, protect Warren County. Recommend denial of this proposed ordinance change. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lucia Maresca. I'm a resident of Fork District. I've lived in this area, the Shenandoah County, for the past 4 years, and I attend college here now. My last research paper was on the effects and impacts of data centers, specifically in Virginia. And in my research for that, I've come across many of the statistics presented here today, and many more, all detailing the detrimental effects of data centers. Any one of the arguments presented to you tonight are a strong reason to deny data centers within our community. Together, these reasons are insurmountable. I urge you to recommend a resounding no to data centers, just as we today have united to say no. Thank you for listening.
Good evening. My name is Anna Maresca. I live in Fork District. I thank you so much for your time, your attention, and giving us the opportunity to speak our voice loud and clear. I thank you all, the fellow citizens, for their very eloquent, detailed, well-researched recommendation, insights, remarks. Everything was really very, very helpful. I hope for me, but I hope even for you, because you are the one now that have to take an historical, momentous decision. And it makes me believe that together we can define what is the common good. That is the aim of any good piece of legislation, decision that regards a community of people. And I want you really to consider that. We have to work for the common good, because at the end is what really works. And taking in consideration that this is a beautiful place, beautiful for nature and beautiful for the people. And we have all kinds of people. We are just a little bit representative of these people living here. I want you to take in consideration the elderly, that they need our care, our love, our presence, and they're going to be affected by data center. I want you to consider young families. They are come here, young people. They want to start a business. They want to start a family, having children. I want to consider everybody with any place in the social ladder. Like we can see here, we are people. We are not corporation. Together we can overpower corporation, but we need to stay together and think of what is the common good. I want you to consider the children, the future. What are we going to leave for legacy? The children are the ones, they don't have voice here in this assembly, but they are going to be affected for a longer time than we will be affected by your decision. So please, I really beg you, ask you, urge you to recommend denial of all these proposed modification of ordinances. And thank you for your attention.
My name is Matthew Hayes. I'm from the South River District. I'd just like to say that companies like Rushmark are no different than Dominion. When they came here 10 years ago, about 10 years ago, and they made these claims that they were going to bring jobs when they brought this construction of this new power plant. But all they brought really was these temp workers that brought opioids to our community and tainted our community for not just 5 or 10 years, but for a lifetime. And how are these companies that are going to bring temp workers, because they're going to bring temp workers, they're going to make the claim that they're going to bring jobs to our community, but they're not. They're going to bring temp workers. And then what are they going to bring? What drugs are they going to bring to our community next? Is it going to be fentanyl? More fentanyl? I don't want that in my community. I've had too many friends die from that shit. And I know I'm not the only one here who's had family members that have been affected. Friends, it doesn't matter. The opioid crisis it's contributed to everything, and data centers aren't alone. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Gianna Sappickfield. I'm in the North River District. I'm 14 years old and just starting high school out here. I've lived here for about 10 years, almost 11. And I don't know much about all this, as I'm still just going into high school. But I do have a request that if you do have an ordinance made, and by all means, I disagree with it, do not let the data centers write it. This is comparable to giving a fox the ability to make security for your hen house. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sylvia Maresca, and I live in the Fork District. So I'm not going to say anything new. You heard a lot of statistics, people who put their heart and soul into speaking tonight and doing research even before this meeting and numerous other meetings that we've had. So I'm just going to say briefly thank you for listening and for allowing us all to speak tonight, but truly do listen. Take what we've all said tonight and amplify our voices with the power of your position, because that's what you basically have to do right now with this decision. And so we ask that you amplify our collective voices. And please, I urge you, each and every one of you, to please recommend the denial of the ordinance change to the zoning text that would allow for data centers to be developed here in Warren County. Please vote no. Thank you.
Makamir Hayes, South River District. I've lived in Warren County my whole life. My whole life, I've heard people insult our intelligence and take advantage of us. The whole nation laughed at our EPA scandal. They laughed at us for letting imperialist foreign rulers parade down our streets. And they'll laugh at us too if we allow any or one number of data centers at the gateway to the Shenandoah Valley. How about this for the chapter of Warren County's history? We find ourselves on the right side of history for once. During these unprecedented times of decisive bipartisan efforts to limit, if not outright ban data centers, the People's Republic of China has over 1 billion people. Virginia has less than 10 million. Considering that, why does Virginia have over 100 more data centers alone than a nation of 1 billion people? Because they want a flock camera on every single street corner in our country, and 5 aimed at every single angle of our schools. There is no way of knowing how much data is being collected on our youngest and most vulnerable neighbors, let alone the rest of us. But Rushmark wants our country complacent in unconstitutional surveillance of children, and for whom whosoever pays the most for that data to do whatever they want with it. Ask yourselves if you'd want your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren being spied on by men in suits who came here to take advantage of everyone in this room, regardless of what side of a table they sat on. It doesn't take a caveman to know our water is life and our children are our future. Denial of this data center is the easiest decision you can make, and everyone here is proof of that, especially the ones complacent with these data centers. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Colby Costello. I live in the Fork District. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your time and attention tonight. I really appreciate it. Much of what everyone has said tonight I agree with. I believe that the data on data centers is clear. The idea that a closed loop cooling system is sustainable and cost-free method is substantively false. Closed loop cooling systems are prone to frequent leaks, requiring frequent refills, not a one-time water toll, and they require significant energy to cool the water. Please don't just take my word for it. There are hundreds of case studies from data centers on counties all across the nation. This isn't just Facebook mom pseudoscience or the product of small town fear-mongering propaganda, but rather real and variable data. The supposed economic benefit is negligible, and while I'm concerned for the strain on the water and energy infrastructure, I'm primarily concerned for the tremendous and irreversible blight on the visual landscape, and the tremendous noise produced by the data centers. This will significantly lower property value, and this is a consequence which does not align with the values and the desires of the people of Warren County. The benefit to the people of this town is small, and the benefit to technological elites is supreme. This is the type of deal which reminds one of large swaths of land being traded for glass beads, or of Scottish independence being traded by the chieftains sold out to the crown for bags of gold, which Robbie Burns famously called those chieftains a parcel of rogues in a nation. All these seemed like good ideas at the time, but the ramifications of these actions were felt almost immediately and for generations to come. Nevertheless, regardless of any argument pro or against a data center, your polar star and your guiding principle as officials is to operate on the will of the people. And I think the will of the people is clear. I would urge you to please vote to restrict data centers in all capacity. I really mean this. Your countrymen will sincerely love and support you if you operate in this way. Thank you for your time tonight, and God bless you. Cheers.
My name is Peter Tapsack. I'm in the Happy Creek District. I've lived in this county for 13 years. I've gotten married here. We have 3 beautiful children. We hope to stay here, and I hope to raise my children with the desire ultimately to stay here themselves. We love this county. I don't have anything to add other than to echo the sentiment of the over 100 speakers that have spoken tonight. This is the voice of Warren County. I find it frankly quite silly that the one person who came up to support the data centers coming into our county suggested that the thousands of residents who are not here tonight are somehow the silent majority. This is the voice of Warren County. That voice has been very clear tonight. Please vote no. It's clear that it's not just that we don't need them here, it's that we need them not to be here. So please vote no. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ben Andrews. I'd just like to say a couple things. Thank you to everyone that came out here tonight to speak. And to this guy over here, the Marine that came up here to speak. Thank you for your service. I don't think anyone spoke out tonight about that. I just want to say thank you. So round of applause for that. Okay. Thank you for your service. So that way we all have freedom of speech here tonight. I'm just curious that I don't see any artwork around the room, but this guy's been looking around all night, staring at the walls, laughing, chuckling at everyone talking. I don't appreciate that. I don't think anyone else does. Now I've got your attention. I appreciate that. I would just want to say that we should not bring data centers to this area. They're going to be about a mile from my dad's house, and I would have to drive by that every day. Here he is looking again to the right. They already have a power plant that's about a half a mile from my dad's house, and on a quiet day, we can hear the humming of it. Not to mention it's completely hideous, especially when you go up on any of the mountains around here. All you see is 3 power stacks. I'd really like to know who even approved this garbage around here. Not to mention RSW placed right along 522. Why are we housing all of these criminals in this county? I just would like to know in the last 10 years why I didn't get involved in any of this, because the planning of all of this along 522 is absolutely horrendous. I would really like to know what's going on. So tonight, when you do your vote, which I encourage all of the crowd to move a little bit closer so we know what exactly everyone looks like when you get ready to screw all of us. Maybe you won't, but we'll get ready to see that here just when I'm done. I'd just like to take this time to say I apologize to absolutely nobody, because the king does what he wants. Vote no.
Anyone else care to speak? Seeing no one come forward, the public comments and the public hearing is now closed. As in our standard operating procedure, we'll offer the applicant an opportunity to give a rebuttal.
Thanks again for the time. I know it's been a long night. I appreciate all the thoughtful comments and people sharing personal thoughts that are deeply personal. A lot of municipalities do not have performance standards, and that has resulted in a lot of these horror stories with data centers. The performance standards that we are proposing have specific criteria for acoustic decibel levels, water usage, and air-cooled air handling units. These are not empty promises. These are issues that Rushmark has worked very closely with our acoustic consultants, mechanical and electrical engineers to confirm that we can comply with those. The last thing we want to do is build a building and then not be able to comply with the standards, lose the conditional use permit, and lose our certificate of occupancy. That would be disastrous for us, and we don't want to do that. We view this as a collaborative process with the county. And what I mean by that is we would need to demonstrate, as the performance standards say, before we get final site plan approval and before we get a building permit, that our design would comply with those performance standards. Once we are completed with the certificate of occupancy, we have to continue to demonstrate that we are within those decibel limits and all other performance standards stipulated thereby. Not to get too technical, but the performance standards stipulate a decibel level of 65 during normal daytime hours. There are also setback limits in those performance standards. Perhaps a way forward is to discuss those limits. What is the appropriate setback distance? What is the appropriate decibel level? 65 decibels is below that of a busy roadway. Our site is between two busy roadways. Perhaps that's a constructive conversation. Lastly, we believe a data center at Rockland Road is responsible civil planning. It's within the industrial and commercial corridor. It broadens the non-residential tax base in the industrial corridor. That allows for the preservation of the agricultural and rustic land of Warren County. The conditional use permit is a discretionary mechanism that the county can use to approve or reject a data center proposal. The performance standards will severely limit the number of sites that would comply with those standards and could potentially be developed as data center. Thanks again for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir. Okay. Time for some discussion with us. My unofficial tally is 108 no to 1 yes. I do wish our job was that easy where all we had to do is just count hands. We have to weigh all the facts and all the issues and come up with a decision based on that, not just public opinion. Public hearing is closed.
Well, during our work session, we covered a lot of ground, a lot of technical stuff, and a lot of reports were both from Loudoun, Fairfax, as well as Michigan, Denver, and Harvard University. So I kind of think we
kind of
got a pretty good
well
education about it.
I do. The two or three things that stuck out to me was I've heard two persons talk about not necessarily in compliance with the comprehensive plan, and 4 talking about how there's not a lot of employees here. From a planning commission's aspect and looking at all the land use issues, they don't have a lot of employees, but with that, we would not have to build a lot of houses, and I would bet we wouldn't have to build a new school for those employees. But when you get through the whole thing of it, I realize they're talking now that, that this particular one, which would be air cooled, not all of them are.
Right.
And I live in the town, and the last 2 summers, I've seen emergency water conservation measures. And also, in the town, we're kind of blessed to have our own, be with town power, providing our own, not throwing stones at Rappahannock. But when you get letters in the middle of the winter saying, please turn your lamps off because we can't keep up, that's a problem.
I first wanted to say thank you, everybody, for coming out and for your engagement during this process, making comments, providing your concerns, attending meetings, even going almost to midnight now. This is how government is supposed to work. From the feedback we've received during this process, the major areas of concern, as I understand them, are water, noise, electricity availability, environmental concerns, and maintaining the county's rural nature. It's clearly a topic that has a lot of interest and is something that we need to make sure that the county gets right. Personally, I'm not opposed to data centers as a use, but, and I'll say that is very strong, but it's a use with unique characteristics that if we're going to allow, we need to establish strong guardrails beforehand. I do not think that the current text amendment before us has these guardrails in place. I do believe it's possible for Warren County to be intentional and create a strong ordinance that addresses these concerns in real ways. The issue is not a choice between data centers and farms. If a data center were ever to be allowed, it would be in our industrial zone, which we're talking about the difference between a use like a manufacturing plant, which could also include environmental risks, noise, and heavy utility use in data centers. In my opinion, a future ordinance would, at a minimum, need to restrict groundwater use, include minimum lot sizes and setbacks that would be appropriate for the use, establish noise standards, monitoring and enforcement, ensure utility capacity and proximity, and protect our view sheds. I don't have all the answers today, but for good or bad, data centers are not a use that's going to go away as demand for data just continues to grow. If the Board of Supervisors wants to pursue data centers, I think we, along with strong community input, could create a strong ordinance that could serve as a model for other communities in the state. But what's been proposed now, I don't feel is right for Warren County, and I'm not in favor of this text amendment. Rushmark may be a good partner, and I think they probably would be, but this is setting a standard that wouldn't just apply to one site. We have to think about for the entire county and how we would move forward.
Insane, you ready for a motion?
No, except I want to say something I should have before. I appreciate all the thanks that everyone gave to us for staying up, but to echo Will's comment here, the thanks belongs to you coming out and stepping up. We're a 250-year-old country simply because people have the courage to stand up for what they believe in, especially our younger people. And it takes a lot of courage to stand there and talk to people. And thank you very much.
I agree.
And
Ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I move that we, finding that this proposed zoning ordinance amendment is not appropriate for the public necessity, convenience, or general welfare, and is not good zoning practice, I move the Planning Commission forward this proposed amendment to the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation of denial.
I second that motion.
Okay. Allison, do we have a roll call vote, please?
Absolutely. Mr. Barnhart.
Aye.
Mr. Curtis.
Aye.
Mr. Gordon.
Aye.
Mr. Myers.
Aye. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for your time. Again, this is only our recommendation. It'll be forwarded to the Board of Supervisors, and you'll get to have fun with them also. We'll give you a few minutes of people that want to clear before we close the meeting. Kiss my ass.
Can't be good. I don't want you to slap me. I don't want to be here anymore.
Yours too. I know, that's what I'm gonna do next. I'm waiting for these people to leave.
Okay. I've had them adjourned. I just, but